Hey, we're here. Publishing Disrupted. Right on. This is Publishing Disrupted, exploring the ways in which book publishing is changing and how writers can best meet the challenge. I'm Mick Silva, editor, and we got,
And I'm David Morris, a literary agent and indie publisher.
yes, and we have a guest today, Marla Taviano, our esteemed guest and colleague.
Hi, it's good to be
Hi.
here. I'm
Yeah,
Marla
thanks for being here.
Taviano, author and poet and artist.
All the things.
Yeah.
And a longtime publishing, also former expert, right? Because we're all coming from kind of the Christian publishing industry and now all outside of it doing our independent kind of things.
Well,
Hmm.
I didn't know everything about Christian publishing, but I knew everything about being a Christian. I was an expert on that. So,
And you were published in
oh,
the
I was.
sphere.
Yes.
Yes.
I knew everything about marriage. I'm divorced now, but whatever.
There
Uh, That's another thing to talk about. Hey,
you go.
before we get going, I should just mention how did we meet, Marla? We met, I think, just through the social media, and you actually suggested we do a book exchange, I think. So I sent you my book, and you sent me yours to sort Um, of like review or post about them.
Mhm.
that's not quite how I remember it, but
Okay.
close. I think it might have still been Twitter or maybe it was Threads. I think Twitter, maybe. I guess maybe I don't remember this after all. But I saw that you posted Cynthia Vacca Davis's book, Intersection. So I don't know
Oh,
if you had just published it,
that does ring
but
a bell. Yep.
I was like, ooh, I like that. So I told you, hey, I'm a book influencer. I have a Bookstagram. I read books and review them. How about sending me a copy? So you did.
Yep.
And then you might have sent me one that
That
sent me
sounds right.
yours. Yeah. And then my friend Kara Meredith, who you are her agent, and we
Mhm.
did an IG live together. And I think this is in 2022. So October 2022, I want to say, because I had just self-published my first book of poetry the previous year and was getting ready to self-publish the second one.
Called
And
Unbelieve.
called Unbelieve,
Okay.
and I was getting ready to
Yep.
self-publish Jaded. And I think you might have watched the IG Live or caught part of it or something, and then you reached out to me and you said, "Hey, I
Yeah.
used to be in Christian publishing and I know a lot about this stuff. I'm kind of intrigued about your former life as a Christian author and now deconstructing and writing books called Unbelief."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so then, long story short, I signed with Lake Drive and published Jaded 2 months later because it was essentially ready to go. I'm a professional editor as well as an author, so I'd done my own stuff, and my daughter designs my book cover, so I kind of had that complete package ready to go. So we published Jaded with Lake Drive in December of 2022. Then the following year, like September, I think, 2023, we revamped Unbelieve and republished that through Lake Drive. And then in March of
It's in purple,
2024,
my favorite color.
yes, um, in March of 2024, the third book in the trilogy, Whole, came out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and they
Nice.
look. I know. I don't know if you share any video of this, but
Oh yeah.
this is how they look
Sweet.
together,
Yeah.
and I think they're beautiful. And I actually have Cynthia's book here too, and it matches my books. So
Oh
we've
yeah.
redone
There you go.
some things. And Cynthia
You
and
still have
I,
Cynthia's books handy. Her
well,
book
I
handy.
actually made a short little stack of some Lake Drive books here that are people who are now my friends. So Cynthia, I think, let me see. Oh no,
Nice. Wow.
Cynthia and Tamise, I have met in real life. So they are in real life friends. But then I've
To
got
me, Spencer Helms. Hmm.
Then I've got Scott Okamoto, Trey Ferguson, and Catherine Spearing's books, and we are friends who have only met online. But um, we've done a lot of video chats, phone calls, stuff. Well, Trey and Scott and I have. Catherine is a new friend, so.
Yeah.
But those are some of the yeah
I mean,
cool
you're like
people.
an unofficial publicist for like Drive, basically, which
I am an unofficial publicist for a lot of people, and I've got to figure out how to become a paid publicist for
yes.
it. It's all right. It's pure, it's a labor of love, whatever. I'll pay my bills some other way.
I mean, selling books was never a money-making prospect, right? So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
yeah, we're doing what we can. Oh, that's excellent.
Well, you just to skip ahead in our themes of this podcast to how we're disrupting. I was thinking we could talk about how we got disrupted, each of us. We've talked about that on this podcast, so Mick and I don't need to go into it, but how we got disrupted, uh, what is being disrupted in general, and which those things are related, and then what are we doing to disrupt? And so skipping way ahead, speaking of you as publicist, Marla, was when we did Trey Ferguson's book, and we ran a crowdfunding program. And you were very instrumental in that. You helped a lot, quite a bit, getting the word out. You'll remember the details better than I would in terms of your involvement, but um, that was disrupting to the publishing business because here we're crowdfunding basically a publishing advance to help pay for the book cost of production, as well as to give the author some spending money to work with, which
Yeah,
every author needs badly.
yeah.
And we were on our way to publish his book, Theologizing Bigger. And that to me is giving an opportunity to an author who now has a higher royalty rate than anything else that author will find in publishing for the most part,
There you go.
much higher. And that to me is disruptive. It's a new model for book publishing that is authentic, it's community grounded, and it takes the hard work of real people making it happen like you did, Marla. So again, thank you for that too.
Yeah, I will speak to that a little bit because it's really important to me. Rachel Held Evans, who I dedicated Unbelieve to because she absolutely changed my whole entire life, like the whole trajectory of my life. And that's a whole thing. Like she is all through the pages of Unbelieve. But one of the big things she did was I just saw so many people. In 2017, I started a bookstagram called White Girl Learning because I realized that almost all the books I've been reading my whole life were by white people. So I started specifically, intentionally reading books by Black authors, Indigenous authors, Asian authors, Latinx authors, other authors of color. And that led to me kind of also helping primarily some Black friends write. I'd edit for free, get them moving in the right direction or whatever. But one thing Rachel did that I saw so many people say was that she used her platform to elevate marginalized writers. So I would see Black women, Indigenous women who were like, I got this book deal because of Rachel. And not because they weren't qualified or weren't good writers. It was just hard for them to get the attention of bigger publishers, whatever. So that's like this legacy that she left. She died tragically at age 37 and left this massive legacy of all of these people who she used whatever platform she had to help them. And so of all the things that she had done with her like her short life, that was the one thing I wanted to do that too.
Yeah, not everybody
And
knows that, I
so
think, about Rachel Held Evans. In fact, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it that way, though you just did.
well, you have to be following the people that she helped. Like, so
Yeah,
that's what I was
yeah.
doing. I was reading a lot of these authors, meeting these people, and then they spoke up about it. So, I very much wanted it's a tricky situation because I didn't want this white savior thing or here, let me help you. I wanted it to feel genuine and real, and I wanted these people to be my friends. And so it's it's kind of it's like a I don't know
No,
how to
it's
explain it,
tricky. Yeah.
but I'm just going in with as pure of a heart as I can and doing what I can, and it's just been so much fun. So I was on Twitter a few years ago and saw a young Black pastor named Trey Ferguson who was writing stuff that was funny but smart. And those are like my favorite things. Like if you are funny and smart, then yes, because smart is kind of boring and funny is like whatever. But if you're both you're both and you're saying stuff that's really powerful about things that matter, and that's what he was doing. So I think I reached out first to him to see if I could send him a copy of Unbelieve, and that was back when I had self-published it. And I remember he posted a photo of himself with this book, which I thought was kind of brave of him because he's a pastor and he's holding up this book called Unbelief: Poems on the Journey to Becoming a Heretic. And then he started a Substack and I started following him. And then I would just comment or email him every once in a while if something really stood out to me. And I don't tell people that they're a great writer if I don't really believe that. Like, that's not my thing. And he is good. So I would tell him that. And I said, you should write a book. And I also don't tell that to people I don't believe, believe should really write a book. And he said that was one of his dreams. And we got to talking. He started sending me some things. And I was like, you know what? This is good, but this is actually just the smart part of you. Like, you're trying to write this really smart,
Yeah.
smart book.
Yeah.
Where is your personality? Where is the funny? Where is the clever? Where is the let's really get to people's hearts? And so he sent me some other stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what this should be. And so then we just kept texting back and forth, and he'd send me this stuff. And I'm like, gee, I could introduce you to my publisher because he would be very lucky to get you as an author. And so I just kept going back and forth with all these texts. And I was just telling him we were working on something just last week. And I was like, this reminds me of 2 years ago when I was like, this is what David said. This is what Trey said. This is what David said. And I would go back and forth with this. And yeah, Trey's like, David's cool. And David's like, Trey's cool. And signed up. And Theologizing Bigger came out in January 2024. And so he would send me a chapter at a time, and I would edit it for him, give him suggestions, go back and forth like that. And then the crowdfunding, I can't remember if that was your idea, David, or mine, or and Trey's like, I don't know if this will work, but he's so beloved by people and so popular on the internet that everybody's like, oh hell yeah, we'll get behind this guy and his book. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
done really well. And I tell people all the time, I don't read a lot of Christian books these days. But Trey is someone who is has become an actual real friend. Like, we tell each other real life things, and we can share things that we don't share just out in the world.
Cool.
And his his way of viewing God, I still haven't really fully grasped it because it's so foreign to me, but I love it and it makes sense. So my book Whole, which I was writing when we were becoming friends, has like 6 poems in it that have either something Trey said or wrote or texted me or something about God. And yeah, so it's been a
Yeah.
fun
And I'd like to get back
partnership.
to what you said about Rachel Held Evans and then how that is like that's been a blueprint for you as well. And Trey being an example of that. Um, yeah, I think that's, in this world where people get so cynical about social media, we're finding each other to make real community happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that, there's some sort of like bigger principle at work here, not just real community, but a principle of generosity,
Mm.
or abundance as opposed to scarcity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about that a lot, or talk about it a lot too. But just this idea that, you know, it might be, let's just look at it in a very sort of generic way, two authors talking about faith in a progressive or faith deconstruction manner might think they're competing with each other, but the reality is there's overlap, but we're all in different worlds and we all have different things to say. And of those two authors, one might be in a position of less power than the other. And it doesn't take much to make connections, connect Trey with a publisher who might be a good fit, to introduce that author to your network and some other authors. And then it just starts to like truly network. There's really networking that goes on there. And I don't know, in this era where we talk about online platform or getting great media for our books, I think that is one of the biggest parts of author marketing, that doesn't get discussed enough, and that is the real community that you can make among authors or among influencers. I think there's a lot of value to that, and that's what you're doing.
Well, yeah, and in Trey's case, this wasn't even me doing a favor to Trey. Like I would
Mhm.
argue that Trey might have done more for Lake Drive than Lake Drive even did for Trey because Trey had this massive platform. He actually had publishers reaching out to him. But to your point about disrupting publishing with Lake Drive, um, he wasn't super happy with, here, we'll offer you this smallish advance, and then you'll get like 20 cents every time we sell a copy of your book. He's like,
Right.
nah, there's got to be something better than this. So when when I introduced the two of you, you both had a little bit of convincing each other to do, and then you decided, like mutually, yes, this will benefit both of us. So I always want to point that out too, that
Hmm.
there are times when people like Trey would say, he tells people like Marla held my hand or Marla did this or whatever. But I can't work like miracles. I can't take someone that's not already amazing and turn them into something that they're not. Like he had it all. And he's even said, could he have done this without me? Yes. Would he have? Maybe not. Like, so
Hmm.
it's more of just the cheerleader of seeing things in people and helping them believe it. And then also, yes, the connections that I might have um, because of what I've been doing for a
And
long
David,
time.
yeah, exactly. And Marla, you're saying, I mean, you're speaking my language because I totally say that's what I do. Like most
Yeah,
of what I love doing is that coaching part
yeah.
and encouraging people and saying, look, this is it's like your favorite teachers. Where there weren't the nicest teachers, they were the ones who saw you and actually
Mhm.
were like,
Yeah,
I care about what happens to you, right? And so when David, you're talking about like that collaborative rather than competitive kind of community that we're trying to create. I actually do feel that much more when I'm working on, let's say, more progressive or open or inclusive type authors and subjects. And then that grows into caring for what you're actually talking about, rather than what David and I come from, and probably you too, where it's like even the agents, editors, publishers, they have slots to fill, and they want to fill those with the books, and they just turn it into content, and then the author becomes a commodity.
yeah.
And that's the opposite of what we've wanted to do for like our whole careers. And yet that's what we ended up doing largely because we were serving this large system of Christian capitalism, basically.
Talk about that for a minute, Marla. We don't have to rehearse a lot of ancient history, although we could certainly do
I
it.
don't
We could
mind.
certainly get into it again. But what you just said, Mick, yeah, I mean, even as an author, you had this experience. We certainly saw it as editors and publishing people on the other side, but you had this experience, Marla, of, well, here you've done this book, and now what other book are you going to do in the Christian evangelical publishing world? To where you were writing about marriage, and these kinds of books, people are still writing books these days with just as much credentials as you maybe had then. Um, but
What are
that
you
Mick used the
saying,
word
David?
commodity, but I don't want to refer to you directly but we become commodities as authors at times. At least that's the best word for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I love actually talking about these former books. It's very fun for me, and I have them all here. I always bring them with me to my interviews in case it comes up. So I'll just walk you through it quickly. First book, From Blushing Bride to Wedded Wife, Practical Advice from a Girlfriend, What Marriage is Really Like. So my writing story is that I learned to read when I was 4, watching Sesame Street, and I've been writing ever since. I have poems in my own handwriting from when I was 6 and 7.
So cool.
Um, and I have always loved to write. So I get married in 1998. I'm actually revisiting that because I want to write a new book about marriage 20 years later. It's shaping up to be very exciting and fun and scary.
To learn some
But
things.
yeah, I knew nothing. This is 2006. I was not on the internet. Well, actually, this is 2004 or 5. And I'm like, I'm writing a book. I want to write about marriage because that's what I know. I've been married now for 6 years. So look at all this
And you were
knowledge that
still
I
only
have.
26, probably.
I I was 30.
Okay, yeah,
In
yeah.
2005 I was 30. So this is before I turned 30. I started writing this. And back in the day, which is funny to me now that this is so long ago that people cannot even relate to anything I'm
Right.
saying. Like what? No internet? Are you kidding? And the Writer's Edge is what it was called. And it was this manuscript service, and you could pay $79 and send a synopsis of your book and something else. I'm sure it was like a total scam, but I did it.
Not
And
total, but
okay.
You remember that, Mick, right?
oh,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so they either give you a yes or a no. Like,
Right.
yes, we're going to send your little synopsis to 80 Christian publishers, or no, this sucks. So they
Such a
said,
business that
yeah.
this kind of thing even exists. Yeah.
And as an acquiring editor, we went through them like never, basically.
Okay, exactly. Okay, exactly. So
That's right.
they did promise that if you did get a book deal or something, they would give you your money back. I think I got my money back.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Hey,
but they said yes, and they sent it out to publishers, and I got emails from two publishers. I can't remember the name of the one, but I wrote about it recently on my Substack because it was cracking me up. But one was Harvest House Publishers in Oregon, and one was this other place. And the woman that was the acquisitions editor, or I forget what she was called, but she was like, "Your writing is a breath of fresh air. Like, I love this." And she said, "Let me just tell you, I never read these writer sets." So it's like this little magical thing. I don't know. I cannot explain that. The other publisher, after they saw some chapters of mine, they're like, "Yeah, you talk about yourself too much. We're more like of an academic Christian
oh,
Bible
sure.
study thing." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, fine. Talk about myself too much, in my book about my marriage."
Imagine that.
So this woman, long story short, we just kept emailing back and forth, and she's doing all this. I don't have an agent or anything. I don't know anything about agents. Then she tells me my book is going to Pubco, and she has to explain what Pubco is, publishing committee, and this is like the equivalent of you're swimming in the baby pool, and now you're out like in the reef swimming with sharks. Like, it's this big deal.
Pubco,
Um,
every publisher has their own lingo that they
Their own
pretend to
yeah.
say
lingo.
the whole industry uses the same
Yeah.
phrasing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so lo and behold, they offer to publish my book. I got a $5,000 advance, got the book published. It went out of print. I don't know how many, it was like a year and a half later or something. Because why? Oh, I don't know. Because I wasn't on the internet and I didn't know that I had to tell people about my book. And it was just this mess.
Sure.
But then before that went out of print, they said, "What else can you write?" And I sent them this big list of books, and one of them was about sex. And they're like, "Yeah, write that." So, is that all he thinks about? How to Enjoy Great Sex with Your Husband is also a book that is out in the world that I wrote as a very conservative Christian, which is kind of funny to me now. I'm on page 24. I'm trying to read back through it. I made it
Ooh,
back through this one. This one is making me nauseous. And I
yeah.
bought a thing of Pepto-Bismol and poured it in a wine glass as a social media joke, but it's
Ah,
actually true. Like, it is
Curl up with
so,
a good book about sex and a wine glass of Pepto-Bismol.
it's not a
it's
bad title.
it's so horrible though. Like, I just believed everything that I was told. It's a mess. Anyway.
Do you get reader mail on either of those books still?
No, I don't.
They
And
find
my,
out they see you online and then they find out about like what's going on here.
oh,
This the
I
same
don't.
Marla Taviano? Must be another Marla Taviano.
Oh, exactly. So then the woman at Harvest House was like, "Psst, let me tell you a secret. You need to get an agent really quickly because you're going to get cheated on all this stuff. Like, they are not giving you what you deserve because you don't know
Wait a minute,
anything."
wait a minute. Evangelical Christian publishers are cheating authors?
Well, maybe she didn't say it quite like that, but that's what she meant. Yes, yes.
I
So,
know.
Never
yes, I
happened.
know. I think it was a $6,000 advance for this second one. So she introduces me to a guy that becomes my agent. And then Changing Your World One Diaper at a Time is my first book with Harvest House with this agent. And
Still about
then
sex, right?
no,
Sorry.
all about motherhood. And then Expecting, Praying for Your Child's Development, Body and Soul. It's a pregnancy devotional, which,
Oh,
yeah, also trash now because I used to give, like, people would donate these to crisis pregnancy centers, which
sure.
I now see as, well, I mean, they might not all be bad, but I'm pro-choice now and all this stuff. So this one is actually with Howard Books, which is an imprint of Simon and Schuster. So this is my bigger deal book. And this one has sold like 30,000 copies since
Wow.
2009. The problem is, when you talk about low royalties, not only are my royalties low, there's an illustrator for this book who drew little pictures of a
Mm.
developing fetus, and I split my royalties 50-50 with her. Don't
Yeah.
know who this woman is. I did all this work. She drew like 20 little babies that all look the same. And she gets like royalties from 30,000 copies of my book,
Right.
whatever. So then after that, my first book went out of print. Then my second book went out of print. Then my third book went out of print. And now I'm on the internet and now I'm telling people, but it's a little bit too late. So then I fired that agent. We had some issues. Got another agent, tried to get a book deal. She sent out some stuff and they're like, yeah, you already have these strikes against you.
Mm.
So we're not going to, we'd rather take a chance on a new author than someone whose books went out of print.
Uh-huh.
To this day, I believe my books would not have gone out of print if I had had something in place. Like if I was already on the internet, I was already blogging, I was already on Facebook. Like all of it
Sure.
happened right before that. And it was just this weird window. And when
Yeah,
I
it was a
started,
time for you. It was a timing thing, very
yeah,
much so.
and I
Yeah.
Yeah.
started doing speaking things then, but it was too late. And
Right.
I had a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 3-month-old when my first book came out. So it's not like I just go around on the speaking circuit. And my husband, who I'm writing about in these books, was not one to help with anything. So this is
Yeah.
me doing all of this
One
on my
woman
own.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we hear that a lot. I mean, obviously, David as publisher, as Zondervan, and then me as a acquisitions editor. I mean, we had a lot of similar experiences with authors becoming commodified because it's a I mean, it chews you up. It's an industry. And
Yeah.
people think, oh, well, it's Christian. Well, yeah, and also they need to make money, and you're
Yeah.
going to hear the same stuff from the Christian companies as you will from the general market. They're going to give you a low royalty, probably even a low advance, honestly, if you're a newer author.
Yeah.
So you're not making a whole lot of money. In fact, you're probably not going to have another book because it's just not going to sell well for you.
Yeah.
And they've figured this out now. And so toward the end of my illustrious career as a Christian editor, we were even asking pretty much point blank in one-on-one meetings, in war rooms, with sales teams, who are the most important or the biggest influencers you know, and those are the only authors we want to publish.
Mm.
And it was getting so demoralizing. They didn't care about content. Content was, if not the second thing, it was like way down the list of things that we were even considering
Yeah.
for what makes an author viable. And that, as an editor, you want to read books. You want to work with people who want to work on good books, not content or content delivery devices or
Yeah.
this demoralizing. And I saw so many authors get chewed up that way that I was just on principle, like, I got to get out of this. So that's my story, but yours
Yeah.
sounds very similar.
Well, and speaking of editors and good writing, I am not falsely humble when it comes to my writing. Like, I am a good writer. I know this. I've been
Yeah.
told this by people my
You've worked at it.
entire life.
Yeah.
And when I got that first book published, the woman who found me was just like gushing about this writing. Like, it's just so different. It's unique. I love it. And then my editor, when I got assigned an editor, he said, not only is this like the cleanest copy I have ever received, like in a first draft, it is also like you are incredible. Like, this is such good writing. So sadly for me, like I read it now and I'm like, oh, that is good writing, even though I hate everything
The topics
I
have
wrote. Yeah.
changed. Yeah.
The stories that I told are
Yeah.
still clever and funny. I see myself in there. I see hints of the me I am now. She
That's
was
cool.
trying to be that,
Yeah. Yeah.
but she just kept coming back. Like anytime I would try, like I would be myself, I would squash it down and be like, I need to be more submissive. I know I need to be a better soldier for Christ. I need to pray more. I need to blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so good writing is really it's well, it's a passion of mine, like you said. Like I just started a book right now and I don't it's way over there and I don't know the author, but it's called Beard. It's by Erdmans and it's Kelly, I want to say Kelly Foster Lundquist, Kelly,
I'll
something
look it
like
up.
that.
Yeah, I remember that
Okay.
book.
Yeah.
But one of my friends here in Columbia, South Carolina, who is a trans woman who writes poetry, she shared it on her Instagram. And then since I'm a book influencer, most times I can reach out to a publisher and be like, hey, I
Right.
review books. Can I have a free one? And so they send it to me. I read the author's note and started the introduction. I'm like, crap, this is so good. Like good, 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 good. Anyway, all that to say, I I just love good writing. And I
Yeah.
know that there are people out there that can write so well, but they're just not going to get that chance.
Yep.
And it's not all on the publishers. I mean, you do have to have a big platform.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
here's me with this. Yay, I wrote a great book about marriage. Who knows who I am? No
Yeah.
one. Where am
Let's
I
talk
out in the world? Nowhere.
Right.
let's
So,
talk about let's talk about that in terms of the disruption for you and the continuity of your or discontinuity of your own publishing career, Marla. By the way, that book was Beard, a Memoir of Marriage by Kelly Foster Lundquist that came out
yeah,
just this past October.
yeah,
But so for you, if I'm hearing it correctly, part of it is your books started to, you know, the third book or the fourth book really performed well with Howard slash Simon and Schuster, but the internet happened and it kind of that meant like the new crop of authors had that with their proposals. They had that part of their
yeah,
platform
yeah.
now came with it, whereas yours didn't necessarily. So would that be sort of like the main driver of what caused a change for you in your publishing career at that point? But then there was also your own deconstruction story that also would be affecting some of this. So
Right.
have I got that right? So that would be like phase one of disruption for you, but phase two might have been the deconstruction part.
Yeah, I don't know about phases, but yes. So when I fired my first agent after my fourth book, because I won't go into that, but he wanted me to write something and I started to write it, but it was like it was his passion project and he needed a woman to write it. And so he wanted
Hmm.
me to do it. And I was like, yeah, no, this is no. Um, but so I fired him, got this other agent. When she told me, I'm trying to shop this stuff around, but you have these like three strikes on your card already or whatever.
Strikes meaning
So,
platform and the
well, no,
sales are
no,
recent.
no,
Just the
no,
same.
books going out of print,
Yeah.
Right.
like failed books, essentially. So she moved then to another agency or started her own or something, and she only took authors with her that had already signed books with her, and so she dropped me.
Sure.
And that I have not tried to get another agent since. So what I did from there was I started self-publishing ebooks. My ex-husband is a web designer and a graphic designer. So I think the first one I did was in 2011. Okay, so this is funny. I think I recently took it off Amazon, but it's in other places because he has access to that and we don't talk, so I don't know how to get it off. But it is called, are you ready for this? The Husband's Guide to Getting Lucky. And
Wow.
it's a book about like the is that all he thinks about for women, but it's for men. And it's basically the general idea is you have to be nice and kind and help your wife around the house if you want to have sex. Like this is
That's what
it's
I'm
like
doing wrong.
but I did surveys, like 150 surveys of men. I spoke at this men's retreat. This is before this book came out, but based on my Is That All He Thinks About book, I got invited to a Christian men's retreat. 175 men, my husband included, and me.
And you.
And I spoke to these men about sex for 3 days straight in the woods of Minnesota.
God bless you.
Um, and it's like it's funny to me because I do have some social anxiety. Like I don't want to call a place on the phone, but I will stand in front of 175 men and talk about sex for like hours. Um, but yeah, so I self-published that as an ebook And I do not know how well it sold or whatever. But then from there, I just started telling other stories. My family went to 52 zoos in 52 weeks in 2008 and 2009. I wrote this whole thing about it. We stayed with 31 families
Wow.
we met on the internet. So I'm like, here, live a story, make an ebook, live a story, make an ebook. Then
Mm.
we lived in Cambodia from 2015 to March of 2020. So I was deconstructing. The deconstructing, actually, um, I take it back actually to the my agent at the time, the one that I fired. The book that he wanted me to write was like a woman's guide to the end of the world about end times
Okay.
theology.
Okay.
So I started questioning that as I'm reading this. I'm like, is this really how it's going to be? It doesn't even say that in the Bible. Then in
Right.
2009, I
And the fact that
start
we need a gendered version of that, even though
exactly.
all, of course, probably a lot of the versions were male gendered to begin with. So
Well, they were all, and that's why he thought he had something special. And
yeah, yeah, I guess.
the publishers said, yeah, nobody's going to read this. Exactly. Nobody cares what a woman has to say about something like that. Okay, so in 2009, I read The
So
Hole
many
in Our
layers there.
Gospel. Yeah, The Hole in Our
I don't
Gospel
even
by
know where to
Richard.
start.
No, I did. I have so much in my life that I could it just comes back to me that I forgot about. It's like, oh, for real. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
2009, I read The Hole in Our Gospel by Richard Stearns. He's like, if you don't tell people, like, you don't care for their physical needs, then there's a hole in your gospel. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I
Yeah.
thought all we had to do was tell people about Jesus and they get saved and go to heaven. So that's when my deconstruction started. It was very, 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 very slow. I started waking up to things slowly.
Right.
2010, we helped a black pastor friend plant a multi-ethnic church. Trayvon Martin is killed in 2012. And all of these things start happening. Then we moved to Cambodia in 2015, still self-publishing ebooks, moved back in 2020. And I'm like, I am going to write a real book now. Like, this is what I'm going to do. My husband is finally going to get a job. I'm going to have time to write. Well, then in September 2020, he leaves. And I find out 4 months later that he'd been cheating on me for 4 of the 5 years we lived in Cambodia. So now, new plan is I'm going to be a single mom in a new state during a global pandemic when I haven't lived in the US for 5 years. And I have a teaching degree and I've been a missionary and I used to be a writer, but now what am I going to do? So, but I didn't put the book on hold. I published it in September of 2021 and it became poetry. And I recently was rereading a Rob Bell book called Everything is Spiritual. And in the margins in 2021, I was like, that's it. I'm turning my deconstruction story into poetry. I didn't
Nice.
remember
Mm.
that until
Yeah.
I reread, and I did.
I
And
remember that book.
I want to say that it was like this amazing phenomenon that was really great and wow, look what she did. I believe that. The problem was, how do I convince other people? How do I
Mhm.
convince people to pick up a book of poetry? How do I get the word out about this? How do I get people to care? And that has taken me now 4 years. And in this right now, November 2025, people care now. Like
Mhm.
something happened.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was an algorithm magic, and it was.
Yeah.
However, I've been putting in that work
Yeah.
every day for 5 years when it made the most sense to give it up, Marla, because this is not, no
Yeah.
one is catching
No
your
one
vision.
wants that. Right.
Great that you love this idea you had, but nobody cares.
Yeah.
And now they do. And it's a weird feeling, and I really like it.
I think your story, Marla, t talks about. I mean, you can see the disruption as an author story going on as it pertains to you particularly. You can see the publishing disruption story going on with regard to the digital marketplace, with regard to the way evangelical publishing can crank out books that aren't
Yeah.
necessarily to the benefit of the author building a professional career. Um, but then also in the recent success, and by the way, that first book was the Purple Book, Unbelieve, right?
Yeah.
And I remember that. I remember hearing about it when it came out. I remember seeing the posts about it. The cover caught my eye.
Mhm.
The theme caught my eye. I felt brave. It felt courageous. It felt exciting. Just the early posts I saw.
And
That's
different.
that's how I
Right.
remember it.
Hmm.
Um, but more disruption in terms of why people have caught on recently. You had a couple or more than a couple posts go viral, particularly on Instagram, I think, your own author account. That really has played a role, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I use the term viral loosely. It didn't go
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
super duper viral, but we're talking exponentially more people saw it than usually see my posts.
That's a
So
good way to put
I
it.
in
Mhm.
20 August of 2023, I had a messed up copy. Speaking of messed up copies of my books, that the cover of Unbelieve was messed up, and so I couldn't sell it. And so I was doing a craft day with my nieces, and I cut out the poems and glued them on illustrations of Frog and Toad from the Frog and Toad book. So the Frog and Toad are like doing something that matched this, and I put it online. And that got people's
Frog.
attention.
Sorry.
Like I had been trying for
Toad.
2 years to get people to care about my poems. And now when I put them on this art, people were paying attention. And it was really healing, cathartic, and fun for me to just
Mm.
cut things out with my hands,
Cool
glue
idea.
with my hands,
Yeah.
laminate, and whatever. So that I've been doing that almost every day for over 2 years now. Okay, so I would share that and I would get some response. I would give away the poem art. I'd go to different places to sell my books and I'd give it away and all of this. But on September 11th of this year, I wrote a post. It was after Charlie Kirk was murdered, and I wasn't really in the mood to get into all of that. But my post, I just put text on white background. I can't even use Canva. I go into my Instagram stories and choose the white background and type in Times New Roman or whatever the Instagram equivalent to that
Would
is,
you? Yeah.
and save it as a photo. And then I just like I did several slides of things about how I used to be an indoctrinated Republican. I woke up, I changed my mind. It's not too late to change your mind. Something happened on Instagram because all of these people started to see it. So I had 5,000 Instagram followers. In a typical post for me, I could have 20 likes, maybe 150 likes. I think once I had gotten like 2,000 or something and people would share it. I don't have the stats here. It's something like 250,000 views and people shared it in their stories like 5,000 times. And so, excuse me, something happened.
Yeah.
Some account reached out to me and said, could I share this? Like, invite me as a collaborator or whatever. And part of me was like, no, I want to do this by myself. But then I saw they had 144,000 people. I'm like, yeah, well, we can do that.
Yeah,
And
maybe.
so then every night for quite a while, I just started doing this. And I never knew, like, sometimes it would get big and sometimes it was a little bit small. Um, but then maybe a month later, another one that I did got even bigger than that one. I I don't know. I've been told make videos, do this, do that, and
Right.
text, it's black letters on a white background.
That you used in a very
And
simple way. Right.
because it's me.
Created.
That is kind of what I tell people.
Yeah.
The moral of the story, be yourself and
Yeah.
do what you can. Words are my thing. Yes, I like the frog and toad and the putting on that too. And that also, like I have a Jesus storybook Bible that I tear the pages out and put my poems on those, and those go wild. That resonates in some kind of way with people, and then they're sharing them
It's all that
everywhere.
childhood religious trauma.
Yes. So I
100.
can say that, like be yourself and do your own thing and don't worry about the market or the trends or whatever. But I did that for years and this did not happen. So I
Yeah.
don't really know. Um, I don't know. I do not know. But no one, I've never been able to tell someone, this is what you do. This is how it works.
Yeah.
And like example, I had someone ask me once, I go to Goodwill. There's several Goodwills around my house, and I look for books by authors of color. And I have my friend Taylor has an organization called Liberation is Lit. She's a black queer woman, and I give her these books and donate them. It's this whole big thing. It's like I used to work in the church nursery because I thought I had to, or make casseroles. I hate that stuff. This is what I love. Like, this is the kind of quote unquote ministry I want to be involved in. I
Yeah.
had someone reach out to me once and say, I see all the books that you find at Goodwill. I can never do that. Like, give me tips for finding good books at Goodwill. And I'm like, there aren't tips. You have to know, like, you have to know so much about these books that you can just skim a line and
Uh-huh.
these are the
Yeah.
Christian books I don't want. That's a black author, that's an indigenous author, this is this, that like, and I had to build that knowledge up over like 8 to 10 years. You can't just do it.
Yeah.
So when
It
I,
helps you
I
know what
can't,
to look for.
yes,
Yeah.
I can't
Yes.
give people a formula. Oh, this is how, like I have 8,800 Instagram followers now. I was stuck at 5,000. I got to 5,000 after years of trying. And then in 2 months, I have 3,800 more. I can't tell people how to do that. I can't say just put some text on a white background and that will
Right.
happen. No, this is all stuff that I've had. I'm not writing anything new. I'm saying, here's something I already said. I already
Right.
said this. I already wrote a poem. I already did this. Content creation, I'm not creating anything new. It's there. So my advice to people is just do it every single day for 5 years and maybe you'll get lucky.
Well, and
Like
yeah,
that's
in
what,
the lack of a better way to say it, like love what you do, right? I've
yes.
heard that said a lot,
Yeah.
but like yeah, I love reading. I love reading books, and so I've read a lot of books. That's not very useful. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, when it's
Yeah.
useful to me,
Yeah.
like and you're talking about your deconstruction and reading everything is spiritual. Like every book that you read goes in and it does something to you that's invisible.
Yes.
And then
Yep.
you're in an opportunity or an opportune situation, and this quote comes to you, and you're like, "Oh yeah, where'd I get that?" Well, that was that
Yep.
book you read like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
I love
people
that.
don't
Yeah.
recognize, but you're creating this like repository, this library, right? That
Yeah.
you are, that everyone's a library. And I
Yeah.
heard Ray, is it Ray? Ah, shoot, I'm forgetting his name. Wrote Fahrenheit 451.
Ray Bradbury.
Ray Bradbury. Thank you. He was saying something to writers, and he's like, let me condense this. It's basically read a poem, a short story, and an essay every night of your life before you go to bed. And then you will have something. He's like trying to give them like tips, and because you always want the tips. But like to
Yeah.
writers, I hope they're already doing something like this, but I'll be darned if I go to those writers conferences and like, what are you reading? And I get these blank stares.
I don't understand
And
how
I'm
you
like,
can want to write a book and you don't read books. Yeah.
yeah,
If you read my poetry, I am very straightforward. All of my poems, yes, some of it's clever things from my own head. I got it from somewhere. I am putting pieces together and I'm quoted, like I'm citing that, I'm saying that is what my whole life is. You nailed it right there. Like that is it. And Glennon Doyle, I think she said,
mm,
reading is her inhale, writing is her exhale. I am doing both constantly.
That's
And
nice.
I
Yeah.
write in the margins of every single book. So I can go back. That's what happened with the Rob Bell book. I went back and saw, oh, this is when I decided. Like things that Jessica Kantrowitz is a friend of mine, and she wrote a book. It's like 365 Days of Peace. It just called to me from my bookshelf today. I read it in 2023, which I figured out because of some of the things I had written in the margins. Now I write the dates. Like every time I start
good. Oh
and
yeah.
I write the date, I write all this stuff. And I write in different colors of ink. So I have some books I've read 4 times, 4 different colors of ink. But I learned so much about myself
Mhm.
reading back what I wrote in those margins. And my ex-husband, this is another whole story, but he told someone once that Marla might as well have been cheating on me with her books because she loves books so much, which is ha ha ha, because
There is a difference, though.
I loved books way before I met him. He got money for our family because I wrote books. Like this is a very ridiculous thing to say, someone who's cheating with an actual person. But this is me. Like I have been doing this. This is people say, "What do you do for fun?" Like I read and I write. And sometimes I watch things on TV, like, but only if I'm like on my laptop, if I'm making poem art while I watch. Like
Right.
that, it's it's in me. It's what I love. I have a book called What Makes You Fart, and that's what makes me fart is books, and words and writing. The whole idea behind that is when you are relaxed and happy, then your body just works how it should. It's why people fart in bookstores. And it's like a thing. So you want to find out what you love, then just listen to your body, which is something we didn't do in
Didn't learn.
evangelical
That's
Christianity.
right.
Yeah,
And
especially
speaking
in
of,
evangelical Christian publishing.
yeah, Catherine Spearing, who's a Lake Drive author, and what's the title of her book? A Thousand Tiny Paper Cuts, I'm almost finished with, talking so much about that.
Yeah,
And one more thing, my mind is like this, like all these things going in all these
it's
ways.
great.
But you talked about, David, about like competition with people or whatever. And there are the human part of me has this tendency when I read something in a book, that I'm like, ah, shoot, I wanted to write about that, or I like that. Like two books I've read recently, well, not super recently, but Awake by Jen Hatmaker and You Could
Yeah.
Make This Place Beautiful by Maggie Smith. I've read Maggie's book three
Mhm.
times. They're both about divorce, cheating, and they're very much how I want to write. I'm reading Catherine's book right now and underlining these things. And I have a poem that could match like
Yeah,
54 things that Catherine has said.
totally.
The difference now that I'm seeing, I'm not sad that Catherine wrote that and I didn't. First of all, I did write it in a different way, but I eat this stuff up. If I read an author that wrote a memoir about divorce, and I'm not stopping there. I want to read all the memoirs about everyone's experience.
Mhm.
I want to gather all of that. So finding these like parallels and these things that we have in common, that just makes me happy now. Like I'm super happy to collaborate with Catherine and tell her people about me, and she tells like or I tell my people about her, and there's so it's so much better that way. When you talk about generosity, I have found that the more generous I can be, the more it really does come back to me. Example with my poem art. I don't sell it because the illustrations aren't mine and I don't know the legal things surrounding that,
Sure.
but I give it away. And I will, people say, well, can I give you a tip or a donation? And so I started saying, sure, you can donate to my art supplies fund because it costs me money to buy all these books and glue sticks and all this stuff. And if they ask me for a suggested donation, I'm like, $5. And I'll have somebody send me $20. They're like, I love what you do. This is so great. And that $20 helps cover the 50 pieces that I just gave away at a Pride Festival. So it's
Mm.
just, I mean, I worry most every day about my bills and how this is all going to get paid. But just trying to trust in that
Mhm.
process, that generosity, the abundance, karma, whatever you want to call it. Um,
Yeah, the spirit of abundance. I like
yeah,
that.
You
That's
just
nice.
hit. Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say because like lack of competition is what makes that work, right? And collaboration, camaraderie, like these are not things that I mean we talk about them. We talk a good we were all good talkers before,
yeah,
and now it's like we have to actually put our money where our mouth is, and it's not a lot of money, and maybe we
yeah,
we don't have as many words as we used to, but it's like I want to be like a fool for like abundance and generosity. Exactly
yeah,
right. Yeah, feeling like I'm helping who I'm around.
yeah,
And that's who I want to work with. And
yeah,
so if that's going to make me poor in the end, I guess I'm going to be poor. That's
yeah,
fine,
Well,
right?
I also think like don't undersell your the value that you can offer by talking about some of the same things. So you're reading about divorce in these memoirs, or
Right.
you're reading about something in a Catherine Spearing book, and it's like, well, I could be, I wish I was saying that. Well, I actually think that when someone else says it, if a new author says it, a different author says it, it comes out differently.
oh yeah,
And for
absolutely.
like you, you're working on, it sounds like you're working on a memoir of divorce-based memoir type. So what that doesn't say, what you didn't say yet is like you're going to pull out themes of
Yeah,
that aren't going to be in a Jen Hatmaker
yeah,
book or the other one that you mentioned.
yeah,
You're going to pull out it's sort of like sort of like just pick like a category of science fiction and, stories about planets that are within our solar system or something. Like
right.
it's a sub genre, and one author might say, oh, I wanted to write about that. Well, you guys both can write about it, but you're
Yeah.
probably going to say some different
Oh,
things.
for sure.
And yeah, yeah,
Hey,
that's why the mindset of abundance is that's just follow that.
yeah.
Mm.
I know we're kind of over our time probably, but I have one thing I want us to talk about before we go because at least once a week, I have someone DM me and say, I am writing a book. Do you like your publisher? Like this is what they say to me.
It's a
And
good question.
it depends on, usually I just tell them, um, I can't speak for you. It depends on what you want. If I'm feeling generous at the time, and generous like is a, I can't tell everyone all the, I get so many DMs. Like, can you give me all of this? Whatever. I started saying, yes, you can call me and give me $30 for 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tell you everything that
Yeah.
I know. But what I generally say is it depends on what you want. Like a hybrid publisher is it's not for everyone. Like here are the different things, whatever, and it depends on what you're looking for. So what I would like to do, David, is if you and I just really quickly could talk about what hybrid publishing looks like for, well, I mean, maybe my books in particular. Then the next person who comes into my DMs and says, "Do you like your publisher?" I will send them a link to this podcast interview. And then you'll get more people to listen to your podcast, and I won't have to do any work of telling people anything about it. I'll be just like, yeah, here you go.
This is
Yeah,
good.
we
So
did do.
I can
Go
talk or
ahead.
you can talk. You start. You say some stuff and then I'll
Sure, sure. Well, we did do, first off, we did do an episode about this. Just our last episode kind of covered the Lake Drive Books model.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, and
perfect.
we went into some depth, right, Mick, on that. I
Yeah,
mean,
with some
after we got
numbers,
done
like
talking about our favorite books.
yeah, generally speaking, what the numbers look like and what you can expect, and
Yeah,
but
Oh, well then I can just point them there.
you
That's
can.
no,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
basically, it's a traditional publishing model with an untraditional financial model. So we curate books, we edit professionally, design professionally, we market it professionally, we coach authors on platform. We run a really good launch phase marketing plan, do really well with launch teams, and pay a better royalty. It's a better
Yeah.
setup. The challenge is we're a startup publishing company. We don't have the backlist that puts money into our bank account every
Right.
month, and so we don't have the resources to risk. It can cost $10,000 easily to publish a book, even more if you print a lot of copies
Right.
up front, and then to pay an advance on top of that. That's the risk that publishers assume, and
Yeah.
a lot of books don't work out, and they wait on that book that's gonna continue to sell, not go out of print, and
Yeah.
and that'll feed their bank account for future years. So it's a really good model. It's appropriate and relevant to today's publishing world. It's very top heavy, where there's been sort of a corporate takeover of book publishing.
Yeah.
All the big five publishers own most of the marketplace.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of mid-level publishers, and there's a lot of us grassroots folks now. So it's a really good option for driving, I think, genuine growth as an author. It just takes a little bit of money up front to invest in. But if you're going to invest all those hours writing a book and being an author long term, and if your book is really going to work, it's a great model. But if it's more speculative publishing, more high-end publishing, if you want the advance, then which is fine. That's a fine model, but
Yeah.
it's not
for
always, it's
some people it
riskier,
works. Yeah.
and it's different. So yeah, that's the thumbnail of Lake Drive Books.
Yeah, and it's a little tricky for me because I've told people my situation is slightly different, which is how I felt when people would ask me, "How do I get a book published?" I'm like, "Well, you send your thing to Writer's Edge, and then you you
Yeah,
hope that someone," because I came to you with a fully formed book, so there was
you
a lot
did.
less
Yep.
editing. My daughter is the cover designer, so there are like I didn't have all of those upfront costs. So you and I are splitting the cost to pay for
Right.
her for the cover. And then she's giving me um, my half back because I let her live with me in my house.
Right.
So it's like,
Right. And that's
oh,
the other thing that
so my books didn't actually cost me
yeah, and a
much money
traditional
at
publisher
all.
wouldn't work in an arrangement
There's
like
no way
that.
they
But
No,
a
would.
yeah,
smaller
yeah.
publisher that's
Mhm.
got different, we can be more agile.
Yeah,
And I'm happy. I'm doing other things like that from time to time
yeah.
when I can find them. Yeah.
How many books, and maybe you don't know this, like how many new books are you taking on? like at a time, per month, per whatever?
The goal is six a year. So
6 a
putting out a
year.
new book
Okay.
every 2 months, but
Okay.
I'm not quite hitting that goal.
Okay.
Just, yeah, but that's the goal. Yeah.
But it's now 2 years old, and you have almost 20 books or something, don't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We started our first book in 2022,
Yeah,
and so we're 3 years in. Yeah.
3 years. Okay. So you're gonna have a backlist pretty soon.
Yeah, it's over
If Marla
20
keeps selling
books.
like
Yeah.
hotcakes, you're gonna have a great
Yeah. We're going to have that backlist books and we can start. I mean, the thing is, even, if we can evolve to where we have more money, the plan is to, start taking more risk with authors up front, not charging up front and still trying to pay a stronger royalty or maybe graduate like levels of
Yeah.
royalties that
Yeah.
graduate up higher than still
Mhm.
conventional publishing
Right.
would do. There are options and publishers are still kind of stuck in their one royalty structure model and advance paying model.
Mhm.
But there are other ways to do this business that can be more tailored to where authors are financially, where they are in their career, where they are with their platforms,
Yeah.
where they are with editing and design.
I have so many ideas if I had money. So I feel
Yeah.
what you're saying. I'm like, man, there's a lot I want to do,
Yeah.
but got to get some money somehow, some way.
Well, I think that's the law of abundance, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, the
Yeah.
universe conspires in your favor.
Yeah.
Yes. And I believe this. I really do. I've seen it happen. So it's just a matter of time. And you've got that library going. I see it behind you. It's in your hand. So
Yeah.
like, you know, we'll just keep going. I
Yeah.
so appreciate you being here. This has been
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. It's a lot of
Thanks,
fun.
Marla.
And yeah, let's do it again.